Stratford Town Council to order. I want to welcome everyone, thank everyone for coming. Constable McGrath, or Corporal? Constable? Thank you for coming, Constable McGrath. Appreciate you being here. And everyone else, all the staff and everyone watching online, I want to welcome everyone. Thanks to all the councillors who are here, and I know a couple of them are under the weather. There's some bad bugs going around, so hopefully they get up and at them again soon. I'd like to acknowledge the land upon which we gather is the unceded territory of the Mi'kmaq, and we pay our respects to the Indigenous Mi'kmaq people of this territory, past, present, and future. I had the pleasure of meeting some great Mi'kmaq, some great chiefs from across the country when I was in Ottawa last week, and it brought home to me the importance of the Indigenous people in our culture, in our history, and in our future. So just want to thank them for everything they're doing to help be stewards of our land. Is there anyone who has a declaration of who has to make a declaration of a conflict of interest on any of the items that we're going to be covering here tonight? If not, we'll go to the agenda as presented. Any changes, additions, deletions, anything anyone would like to see changed in the agenda? If not, I'll entertain a motion for approval of the agenda. Thank you, Councillor MacDonald. Seconded? Deputy Mayor Gallant, thank you. Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Anyone against? Motion carried. The minutes of our regular monthly meeting of November 13th, 2024 are in your package. Any changes, additions, deletions to those minutes that anyone would like to suggest? If not, I'll entertain a motion for approval of those minutes. Thank you. Second? Thank you. Okay. All right. Any business arising from the minutes? I understand there were a couple of follow-up items. I know that there was, what was it? Couple of questions. I think you had a question, Councillor MacDonald, that you wanted followed up.
No, it was more of a combination between myself, Councillor Cox, and Councillor Chandler, just asking about the roundabout at the Our Lady of Assumption Church. And I know our Director of Infrastructure was going to just follow up to see if anything was planned in that regard, and don't know if you had that chance or not.
I don't have an update on that.
Okay, there you go.
Okay, and I think there was one other item, but I can't recall what it is. I should have made a note of it. But there was a follow-up item. Hopefully it'll come up as part of our meeting here tonight. All right. If there's no other business arising from the minutes, presentations from the floor. Any presentations from the floor? No? And my report is in your package. I'll just go over a couple of highlights. As I mentioned, I was in Ottawa last week for meetings of the Federation of Canadian Municipalities. It's an annual event which is meant to bring municipal issues of importance to the attention of senior decision makers, parliamentarians, senators, and members of parliament. I was able to participate in several important meetings, and I also got to speak with the Prime Minister on a couple of occasions and with the Minister of Housing, which was really important to me because we are looking for federal support for our wellness center, and he promised to look into it, and I know our staff are following up with his office to see what the status of that is. I also had a meeting with our MLAs along with our Chief Administrative Officer Crosby and Deputy CAO Pierce. Met with MLAs Burridge and MLA Redmond about several issues. It was a really good meeting. I think we got a lot of understanding of what we can, how we can work together with the provincial government more closely on several major projects. Yeah, I was very honored to attend the Crossroads Rural Fire Company Awards Ceremony. Several great awards, along with Deputy Mayor Gallant and her spouses. It was a great evening, and I had the opportunity to speak with and to thank all of the volunteer firefighters in our community who were at the event. We owe a lot to that group. They really put their lives on the line in a lot of cases when they go to fires or medical first responders or go to motor vehicle accidents. They provide a lot of services, and every charitable cause, they're always there to help bring attention to it. They do a lot in our community, so I think we owe them a lot, and I really want to thank them for everything they do. Yeah, the other big event, I guess, was a volunteer social. It was great to see some councillors and the deputy mayor there, and it was a great evening. To thank volunteers and staff for all the work they do throughout the year. Was really honored to be asked to say a few words and to thank the volunteers who also provide so much great service to our community. And I guess the last thing that I'll mention is a really first ever for Stratford. We have had parades before. We had to have during COVID and that sort of thing, but this was a real Christmas or holiday parade with dancers and singers and the Stratford chorus. It was really nice, and the youth center were front and center. They did a lot of the work. We had a beautiful lighting Christmas tree that was holiday tree that was illuminated during a countdown. It was a really nice event. Cookies and hot chocolate afterwards for and a lot of young people, a lot of young families, and the tree was provided by Watts Tree Farm in, I believe it's in Heatherdale. And I also participated. I mentioned I was going to be the last, but I just noticed that I did want to mention that I did attend a award ceremony for the Immigrant and Refugee Support Association, where several awards were given for in recognition of people who do a lot of work on behalf of that group. Mayor Philip Brown of Charlottetown won an award, and there were a number of people who were recognized for their service to immigrants and refugees. Yeah, all the rest, Federation of PEI Municipalities, Federation of Canadian Municipalities. It was a busy month, but I think we're making a lot of progress. So look forward to the future. Look forward to 2025.
Also, Your Worship, when you were away there, I stepped up the, just to mention.
Yeah, I should mention that. I forgot to mention that. Sorry. That,
no problem.
Deputy Mayor Gallant, thank you for acting in my absence. I forgot to mention that, but you did a great job.
Yeah, I attended luncheon there, the Meals on Wheels, with a great organization, spoke there, and there's about 150 people there. It was great, and also attended the panel. Believe this is 26th year of the panel Memorial Tournament, and it was great to speak there with Jill, Minister Burridge, Minister Redmond, and so on, and it was great opening remarks and how successful that tournament has been in the last 26 years, and they put it on, so it was a great tribute to the whole Panel Minor Hockey Association that night.
Yeah, thank you for doing that.
Yeah.
Welcome, Councillor. No problem. No, we had a quorum, so we started. So we just did the declaration of conflict of interest. You don't have a conflict of interest of anything we're covered. And we approved the agenda, the minutes. You didn't have any changes to any of the minutes? Okay. Yeah, and I just did my report, and just wanted to thank Deputy Mayor Gallant for stepping up in my absence, and really appreciate it. Thank you. And that's my report. Any questions or comments?
I guess just one question, Mr. Mayor, and I I don't expect this to be the case, but just wanted to ask if you received any commitments whatsoever from some of our federal counterparts during those meetings at the FCM conference.
Yeah, I did receive a commitment to look and to flag our application has been flagged, but I understand that he asked his staff to look into it, and since that, our CAO has contacted their office, and I'm not sure if you're going to be able to share an update with us or not, but as part of your report, perhaps, and maybe that's a good segue to your report. If there are no other comments or questions on my report, okay, I'll turn it over to CAO Crosby.
Thank you, Your Worship. My report is in your package. I'll go over a few of the highlights, and I'll start off with, we did have a conversation with the Minister's office, Federal Minister involved with the application that we have in there. Indicated that there was an overwhelming amount of applications put in. I believe there's $550 million in the fund. Close to $2 billion was applied for under the fund. I believe that there were several applications that didn't meet the criteria, so close to, sorry, it was $2 billion worth of funds. $1 billion of those funds really has been discounted because they're not the applications they were looking for. So we're in the other $1 billion part of it, but still there's only $550 million available for that. So we're still in the running, but we haven't got an answer on it yet. There were a couple of questions with regard to our application, which we clarified, and they were going to pass that information on to the folks that are looking at them. So very hopeful that we will get something from it. But the other thing he indicated was probably going to be the end of January, early February before we would hear anything from them. I attended a meeting regarding street vendors bylaw. Wasn't real well attended, but there was some good information from the consultant. Attended a meeting to discuss the future junior high school site plan and land requirements. This was an excellent meeting with all members involved to make sure that we have the required land for the junior high in the future. We do have some interest in other pieces of land on the community campus, and we want to make sure that we reserve the appropriate amount for the future for the junior high. Attended the community campus fundraising launch at Fox Meadow Golf Club, great event. Attended a meeting with developers regarding new businesses in the Stratford Business Park. So there is a couple areas in the existing business park that we're looking to possibly develop, a lot of interest there. And also several meetings with other developers that are looking at our new section of the business park. Set out probably 5 or 6 packages to different developers that are looking at it, so I expect that we'll have that information back soon. I attended the flag raising ceremony for the Transgender Awareness Week, good event. Attended a public meeting regarding the implementation of the short-term rental and accommodation bylaw. This was a very well-attended meeting, really good information from both sides with regard to the short-term rentals, and I think we learned a lot that evening. As the mayor indicated, attended a meeting with Minister Burridge and Minister Redmond to talk about town projects and initiatives, and good conversation there. Participated in the interviews for the HR coordinator / manager, and I'm happy to say that we do have a candidate that will be starting January 6th. I will have some more information with regard to that at our next meeting, but really glad that we were able to secure a candidate for that, and I think they will be a great fit for our team here. So yeah, I've been spending a lot of time on the business park file and starting with our budgeting process, but willing to answer any questions if anybody has any. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, we'll now move on to Safety Services. I believe Deputy Mayor Gallant is going to provide that report in the absence of the chair. You're the vice chair of Safety Services Committee. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Worship. We met on November 18th, discussed a few things. That talked about the fire company and so on. Citizen Patrol wasn't there. The RCMP report, we had it, talked about, I guess, the parking. We're looking Broward Jones, the signs are implemented now, and enforcement is taking place. So hopefully solve that problem up in Briar Jones. Speed report from Keppick Road, that was done by staying at 60, is it staying at 60? 70, yeah. I didn't want to lower the speed limit there, so government did a survey on it. The transit update, the electric buses and so on, a memo, and then the unsightly premises bylaw, everybody has that in their package. So the streetlight report, is there anything on the street report tonight, Gene? Nothing, okay. And I'll move to Queen's District RCMP here with tonight we have Constable McGrath at the table, and I'll call Mr. McGrath up there to the podium just to explain the occurrences happened this month in the town, or last month in the town of Stratford. I noticed the end total occurrences were 206 compared, well, uneven last year's 202 and 149 the year before, but total was 189. Some of the speeding, I guess some of the tickets were given out, was 40 people given out on tickets. I know we had to, it was maybe Constable McGrath might talk on, I know we had the Mothers Against Drink and Driving, had the press on Saturday, and then I guess during that day, I heard on the radio on Monday that there was 7 impaired drivers caught that day on the checkpoints.
That's what I heard on the radio as well. I wasn't provided with any brief on that, but
Yeah.
I had heard that.
It's sort of disappointing how bad it is. It's just, you know, the police announce the checkpoints and locations, and people are still drinking and driving, like impaired by alcohol or cannabis, right?
Unfortunately.
Unfortunately, yes. Yeah, if you want to read the report and go through some numbers there, Constable,
Okay.
it'd be great. And of course, anybody has questions, you can, after you're done.
Okay, so offenses, crimes against persons, there was one sexual offense, 2 assaults, and one harassing communications. Property crime, 1 break and enter, 1 theft under 5,000, or 2 thefts under 5,000, and 2 thefts from motor vehicle. There were 9 frauds reported and 3 mischiefs. There was 1 report of driving while disqualified, seatbelt violation, 40 speeding violations, 1 roadside suspension by alcohol, 7 reportable collisions, 4 non-reportable collisions, and 26 other traffic violations that just fall under miscellaneous offenses, and 22 listed as other related to traffic duties. Those are what we call step files, so strategic traffic enforcement program, and it targets an area that that's been reported as a problem area, and it can be a checkpoint, or it can be radar enforcement in certain areas. So there's 22 stops like that, enforcement actions taken like that. And apologize for both sets of glasses. And then 1 check stop. So the step files and the check stops are very similar in nature. There were 3 911 calls and 50 other calls recorded as other. I'm not sure. I don't have any further details on that. Going through the previous year, the numbers are fairly consistent with the previous year. It hasn't been any significant change. Is there any questions from the floor?
Any questions?
So Constable, I do just have 1 question. So just in terms of just your last comment there with respect to the consistency on the numbers, I appreciate we only have 3 years of data here. We're looking at 2022, 2023, and 2024. Certainly when I look at, those 3, and I appreciate that's only 3 years here. When you look at 2022, 2023, fairly consistent there in the total number of occurrences that have been investigated by Stratford RCMP, but then a fairly pronounced jump in the numbers from 2024. So I appreciate that we have added an officer to our complement here in Stratford, and certainly that could explain, you know, more investigators on the road, likely going to have a higher call in terms of whether it's traffic related or otherwise. But just even anecdotally, within the detachment here at Stratford, is there any comments that you can offer about whether there's a noticeable increase in activity, in police activity here in Stratford, or is it just simply we have another officer present in our community now, able to respond a little bit more, being a little more proactive, or anything of that nature?
We've certainly been taking a number of proactive measures. The step files that I mentioned, that's a proactive measure, yeah. So, and beyond that, I wouldn't be able to provide you any hard data with that. It'd be something I can bring back to management, though.
Yeah, maybe we could just follow up in one of our council meetings in 2025, just to see, because I do see, and I appreciate we're only dealing with 3 years here, but
What's going on?
a fairly significant
Yeah.
jump, I would say. Although I do appreciate again that we have that new officer as well on the roads with us. Yeah, but I'd be interested to know, you know, if there's any sort of qualitative, I guess, discussion on those numbers rather than just the quantitative one.
I think our population's going up too, right? So you're having more people.
For sure.
More people, there's more chances of getting more charges. And I agree with you, Councillor McDonald, that, I mean, we're 3 times the speeding violations from a year ago. You know, you go from 160 to 494, and a lot of that's because it's great police work, but also it kind of blows my mind, the fact, because you know, you could lose your car for a week or whatever it is. They could be towed away, and you have to pay to get it released, and you got to pay those fines plus a big ticket, plus you lose 6 points, and there's all kinds of things to deter that. But yet we're seeing speeding still at alarming rates, and it's great, the police presence. I saw a police car today on Stratford Road. It was awesome. They pulled somebody over for speeding. I was in Charlottetown 2 days ago by the Mount. I was coming in, and a police car had somebody pull over speeding. Then I was going out. When I came back that way, they had another car, somebody pulled over. It was just like,
Yeah.
you know, some people are just, they don't realize that the speed limit's there for a reason. But I think we're doing great work in Stratford, and I think the word's going to get out that people have got to realize that, you know, you have to obey these speed limits because there's a reason that number was set. So good for you guys. I think you guys are doing a great job in your presence. You can't get everybody, but I think you're doing the best you can and it saves lives. So appreciate that.
Thank you.
See your,
So you go ahead.
oh, just to see you wearing your body camera. When all the staff members have their cameras?
I believe all of us are equipped with it now here in Stratford.
That's great.
Yeah, the training rolled out this month. So,
That's great.
yeah, it's going to be a great tool. We're all pretty happy to have it.
Yep.
Just one of the metrics that I go by is the number of calls and emails, and people stop me in the store or whatever and complaining about speeding. That's way down for me. I don't know about the other councillors, but I find that used to be speeding was the #1 thing that people were bending my ear about, but that's not the case anymore. It just seems that there is, I guess it's with the extra officer, maybe more enforcement, more targeted enforcement. Some of the measures the town has done in terms of speed bumps and speed signs and that sort of thing. I think combination of things, but the speeding offense charges seem to be up, and the actual complaints about it seem to be down. So that's a good thing, and I really thank you for all the efforts you and your members are making to really reduce speeding in our community. So thanks a lot.
Thanks, sir.
I just want to make one comment, Your Worship. In conjunction with the enforcement efforts by the RCMP, I want to commend the force for their high degree of community involvement, with 12 members attending the Remembrance Day Parade and 3 members turning out for the Christmas Parade. And that's just some of the work that you do within the community, I realize, but it's great to see that it's not all about interactions in relation to speeding tickets and stuff, which is great, which is needed. But, you know, the community are very engaged, or the police are very engaged with the community in Stratford, and that's very much appreciated.
I think that's a really good point. I think the fact that they also work with youth and seniors, the seniors anti-fraud briefings and the youth visits to the youth center, I think those are really important things. As Councillor Dowling mentioned, it's not all about enforcement. It's, community relations and community presence and visibility are also very important, and we really appreciate those efforts as well.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
Yes, I really think that the collaboration we have with Corporal Weatherby and the staff, and of course, our quarterly meetings, Mayor, with Superintendent Lewis and so on, and me at the table and talk about some of the problems we have, and they address them, and they come back and they address those problems with these numbers. And if we have some problems in our town, we hear from our residents and so on, and you hear Corporal Weatherby, who lives in the town and, you know, and cares about the town itself, and it's right across the board in all these numbers this year. And it's a great, with hiring that extra person, it helps us a lot too, but then we got to find money, but we have to support them when they support us, and it just goes both ways, so it's great to see that happening.
Thank you. Any other questions for Constable McGrath? If not, thank you very much for your presence here tonight, and also thank you for everything you do to keep us all safe. Thank you.
Sir. Thanks, sir. Have a good evening, and Merry Christmas to everyone.
Yes, and the same to you and your family. Take care.
Thanks, Constable.
Thanks.
Okay, we'll move down to paragraph D, Humane Society report. We don't have nothing there. The transit graph, I guess, itself, transit has improved overall the whole year. The numbers are up, and I don't know, Jeremy, you want to speak on anything about the buses and so on? Electric buses in the new year, how's the new year look?
Yeah, we do have an order in for new electric buses that are coming, I think 2026, and we have the diesel buses that'll be arriving in 2025. We are going to have the provider in here soon to talk about additional routes in Stratford. I'm going to meet with staff first, and then I'll have a presentation for council at Committee of the Whole in the new year. We do want to look at an internal route here in Stratford for the transit system. We do have a meeting tomorrow, and there's quite a large agenda to talk about a lot of things, and also we're going to get into contract negotiations on a new contract here in the new year as well. So a lot of moving parts with transit, no pun intended. So,
Any other questions?
Thank you.
No. And we'll talk to Crossroads Fire Company calls the month of November, and the calls are there. So with the fire department itself, it's a busy department, so it's I mean, outlying areas and so on, so a number of calls. And any questions? I guess the one thing we're looking at now, I don't know if we want to bring it across tonight, is this ladder truck for the future. That's something we talked about earlier, so I don't know what the forecast is in the new year. I guess both sides are talking and see where how we conclude this matter itself.
Yeah, the current one they have is only good for another year and a half.
Yeah.
And, so we have to do something, help them do something over the next year somehow.
Yeah.
And also the provincial government's made a commitment to assist as well with that purchase. And I think they're currently looking at the market and seeing what's out there, and hopefully we'll be able to be hearing something about that very soon.
Yeah. We'll probably be at the table, and probably the budgets this year, we'll just be discussing it too, right? Budget time. So any questions from Crossroads Fire Department?
Thanks for your report.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Okay,
Move on to
recreation, culture, and events. Our chair is under the weather and not able to make it here tonight, but the vice chair, Councillor Cox, is here, and he'll now give the report.
Thank you very much. I just read Jill's asked me to do this. I guess it doesn't matter if we go into high conference or the other one, so. The mic's on? Yeah, sorry.
I guess it doesn't matter if we go into I wanted the other section here. I guess it doesn't matter which one you read it from. Okay. All right, recreation, culture, and events. The following is an overview of projects, items being worked on within the Recreation, Culture, and Events Department. Recreation, Culture, and Events, there was no committee meeting in November. Stratford Youth Center and Council, the Youth Center and Youth Council will be sponsoring a family for Christmas, single mom with 4 kids. They're using funds that were raised from the Haunted Trail and the holiday raffle. The holiday raffle sales will be continuing until December 16th. The Youth Center currently has 75 active members. Registrations are closed, but we're also considering reopening for late registrations in January. The Youth Center Holiday Party and Awards Gala will be taking place on December 21st. The Youth Center Drama Club will be presenting their production of A Christmas Carol on the weekend of December 13th to 15th at the Emergency Services Building. They will have 3 shows over the weekend, and tickets will be booked in advance with a few available at the door. Admission is by donation. Youth Center members have helped volunteer at the Remembrance Day ceremony, food drive, and Light Up the Night event in November. 25 youth members participated in the Light Up the Night event. In the parade, youth members were also on the Youth Center float, also walked to hand out candy canes, and were assisting Santa on the wagon. They also assisted in the waterfront park, helping hand out cookies and delicious hot chocolate. The Youth Center will be closing for the holidays on December 21st and reopen on January 6th. Events. The town hosted the Light Up the Night on Friday, November 29th as a kickoff celebration for the holiday season. The event had great attendance for the town of Stratford, first Santa Claus parade, and then the tree lighting. 24 floats and walking groups participated in the parade down Glen Stewart Drive, and the event received positive feedback on the quality of the floats, the horses and carriage, cookies, hot chocolate, and of course, a very special visit by Santa Claus. Okay, cheapers. Just double click that in the wrong spot. Why do I do that? Okay, do this one more time. Okay. Sorry about that. Double click that and would hit a focus here for me. Okay. Artist and instructor in residence. The artist in residence and lawn care senior music program was rewarded to Lena Polovac. Is that right? Say that right? And Simon Wright on piano. The duo will be formed at Andrews of Stratford for 12 weeks starting in January 2025. The instructor in residence Glen Stewart Primary Enrichment Program for grade 1 students was awarded to Samantha Sambrook, children's yoga instructor, who will give 30 minutes yoga classes to grade 1 students from January to March 2025. The mural art requests for proposals were posted on the Town of Stratford's website for artists to submit proposals for mural art at various town locations. The closing date is Monday, December 23rd, 2024. Programs. Winter 2025 program registration opening December 1st with a special pickleball registration opening day on Monday, December 2nd at 10 a.m. Pickleball registration process was designed to allow participants to enroll in a single program as a means of providing more playing opportunities for more people and to encourage those signing up for a particular time to participate as registered, to encourage large number at actual sessions. So when this did take place, by the way, it filled up very quickly, and online it was a bit of a sort of a crash kind of happened there, and some people didn't get in, whatever. But there was an awful lot of people that wanted to register for beginner, and to the dismay of some people who weren't beginners, and that would affect their court time. So I must commend Melanie and Rachel and Jeremy for the way they handled this in particular. I thought they did an excellent job, and it's hard to keep everybody happy, but I think the registration went well for that. So kudos to them. The gym continues to operate at full capacity. The Kid Hub after-school program has been a wonderful addition to the gym programming. It's great seeing the kids in the building each weekend afternoon. Tennis, pickleball, volleyball, badminton, basketball programs at the gym from opening to closing every day. The fitness and walking track area have had an average of 95 daily users, and we anticipate this number doubling with New Year's resolutions. Holiday lightings. Town residents and guests can see holiday lighting at the waterfront park, Cotton Park, the community gardens, various streets, intersections around the community. We hope residents take time to see and enjoy the wonderful light displays over the coming weeks. Outdoor rinks. Town staff began the process of building outdoor rinks at Pondside and Bunbury. Once weather permits, the ice services will be opening to the community. The rink locations at the tennis courts and Pondside will be for leisurely skating, while the other two ice services in the community will be open for ringette and hockey. Let's hope for consistent cold weather through December, January, February, and into March. And I must remind people also that because Christmas is coming and the holiday seasons, don't forget to set your scales back 10 pounds. And that's my report.
Thank you. There's just one thing that I just wanted to mention. When you had the computer problem, I think you may have inadvertently skipped over it. The March of Elves, Thursday, December 19th.
Oh, sorry about that, yeah.
1 to 2 p.m. at Andrews of Stratford. Anyway, the Glen Stewart Grade 2 Choir, led by Lisa McDonald and Elizabeth McLean, and consisting of 50 or 60 students, will dress in colorful clothing and be Santa's helpers as they pass out small presents and sing a few holiday songs. And I think this shows the importance of the interaction between seniors and youth.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Sorry about that. I just
No, it's just...
Is this the first time, Steve, we had this with the
as
seniors?
far as I'm aware, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't recall it other years.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
This is the first time seeing this too as a counselor.
Yeah.
That's a great idea. Great
Yeah,
idea.
there's lots of great ideas, lots of great things happening on the
Yeah.
recreation front, yeah, for sure.
Well,
Any
it's
comments or
great.
questions on Councillor?
Your Worship, it's good to see the gymnasium at full capacity, and I know if we had greater capacity, then it would increase even more. It would be at full capacity
Exactly.
as well.
Yeah.
And I hope to be one of those new participants in the new year, at least for a few weeks. But holiday lighting, it's just tremendous, the amount of lighting. Take a walk in the evening through Cotton Park, and Heidi and others, they even have decorations along the wooded trail. But it's fantastic the work that they do in that park and all through the waterfront park and all through the town. Just incredible. We're very fortunate.
And if I can add, sorry, one more thing that you're right. And if you look at what Harry James did in his neighborhood and how it branched out to people beside him also, and also the uses on the Stratford Road do a big display also. There's lots of different places to do that. And I think that's spilled into our, into where we have our, the gardens, and we have the trees, and we have, displays there. I think Stratford really has the spirit, and we show that. And once again, I do give kudos to Harry James for all his love of Christmas and love of light and, and cheer, and that went on to down to Boardwalk now. So it's nice to see we have residents here that, that really care about this community and want this community to be the best it can be. So that continues.
Yeah, I'd like to echo that. I think the family of the late Harry James, by donating all the lights that used to be, he used to take so much pleasure in doing his light display for the benefit of all Stratford residents, and making those available to the town for use in, different places around the waterfront. They're also contributing materials for a gazebo down by the waterfront. It's just the legacy of giving and of helping the town is something I think the late Harry James would be very proud of, and we owe him and his family a lot for all the ways they've helped the town with regard to that, making the town look so much better, especially this time of year.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep. No, I like to compliment the lights too, but I'm saying, come budget time, I always thinking, as chair of infrastructure, we should probably look at more, as given tools for people like Heidi and so on, and Joe and Jeannie and so on, and give some more. I know, coming down my area, Mason Road, there's a big sock in a corner plugged into a pole, the large sock, which is nice. It's Christmas, nice. And I'd like to see that in all neighborhoods, if you could do it, right? I mean, it should expand off it. And the lights, you're talking about the lights, let's do it all over town of Stratford. Like, let's do it Clearview, let's do it up Stonington, and so on. And then let's give Joe and Jeannie and infrastructure, well, not but anyway, just a budget. We have to put money into it. If you go to Charlottetown, you think it's a little hallmark down there. All the lights down there, and there's a city, and if you drive through there, and there's, they do a good job. So we just we're moving, we're growing, but we're not as big as Charlottetown, but we're coming up behind them. And we should probably look at budget time and give Melody and Heidi and Jeannie, or chair of management and infrastructure, the support, for that. So it's great comments around the table, and great, our residents are talking about it all the time. It's nice.
Okay. Any other comments or questions? If not, thank you for your report, Councillor. So we'll now move on to Finance and Technology. Chair of that committee is Councillor Dowling. I'll ask him to give his report.
Thank you, Your Worship. The committee did meet on November 20th, 2024. And the unapproved minutes are attached to the package. If there are any questions in relation to those minutes, we'll address those. Okay, we'll move on then to a brief report. Utility connection notices were issued to 12 customers on November 18th, 2024, with a disconnect date for November 21st. One customer was disconnected. Staff met with Provincial Credit Union to review their electronic payment system for payables, and attended the short-term rental accommodation presentation. And I was at that as well as Your Worship and others, and it went very well. It was relatively well attended, but a lot of positive feedback from both perspectives, and a very good presentation by the group hired to look into that for us. Attended meetings regarding lots in the community campus, and interviewed candidates for the Human Resource Manager Coordinator position. And again, this is staff. Staff met with the Royal Bank to do our annual review, and attended virtual time card presentation with Town Suite, as well as prepared information for revenue sharing meetings. And I think we're finally making some headway in relation to those meetings, or at least we hope to. And we hope to see some resolution to that prior to budget, considering that we are behind now several years. Staff worked on forecast to year-end information, and also worked on the budgets for 2025-26. And as we all know, that's a very big piece of work for all of the directors and CAO, in particular Director O'Connell, to bring together for Council's consideration and determination, which is meetings coming up, I believe, in February. And staff remain busy with day-to-day items. The town income statement and utility income statement are both attached to the package, Your Worship. If there's any questions in relation to my report or to either of those statements, then we'll address those.
Yeah, I think with regard to revenue sharing, it's something we look forward to I know that there's been a report that's been done by FPEIM, and I think that, that'll sort of form a basis for discussions with the province, and hopefully we get some answer on that. It's absolutely essential that we know this year, because it has been 2 years since we've had an agreement.
3, I believe.
3 years?
Yeah,
3 full
3
years,
years.
yeah. So this is the 3rd year, though, eh? Yeah. So we really have to get that information, that certainty with regard to our budget, so that we know, we're not even keeping up with inflation. And as people know, the inflation rate has been quite high, at least a couple of years ago, it was quite high, and last year was a little lower, but it's still, we're still behind by quite a bit.
Yeah, a lot of competing interests for the budget dollars, and, you know, can only allocate within their means, and, you know, through this agreement with the province, that would increase our means to be able to accommodate more projects within the town, which is going to add greater benefit to all of our citizens. So hopefully it'll be resolved sooner than later.
Yeah, and one of the other things are there any other questions any other questions for Councillor Dowling? No. The only other thing I wanted to mention was the beauty and the advantage of direct deposit for this current situation with regard to the postal strike, because I know that for the contractors and those people that do, you know, where we hire them to do things and who want payment by physical check, it's really difficult right now because obviously the only way to get a check to somebody is in the mail unless they come and pick it up. So it's really, whereas direct deposit is, you know, instantaneous. And so anyway, I would encourage anybody that does any business with the town to look at direct deposit as a method for receiving payment. Any other comments or questions? Okay, if not, thank you for your report, Councillor. We'll now move on to Planning, Development, Heritage. I'll ask the chair of that committee, Councillor McDonald, to give his report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So just before I get to my report, just a few preliminary comments. I do want to recognize that we are all here sporting purple ribbons. That's in recognition of the École Polytechnique incident that occurred some time ago in Montreal, and certainly always at the forefront of our minds is violence against certain genders in our country, and it still remains a problem. And so certainly proud to wear this pin here tonight, and all of us I know in this community do everything we can to denounce those actions and denounce any actions that continue within this community or across this country today and really any other day. I also want to recognize that we are in the holiday season. I really want to sincerely appreciate everybody here at the town who really goes above and beyond to really get everybody in the holiday season. As you've noted, Mr. Mayor, in your remarks as well as others, the parade was excellent. The tree lighting ceremony was well attended and very well appreciated. I think the presence of the tree in our waterfront park really does serve as a really great gateway this time of year to Stratford. It's immediately apparent upon anybody crossing the bridge. And it really does look great, and it really is a credit to our town. And so, again, sincere congratulations and thank you to all who have gone above and beyond to really infuse our town with the holiday spirit this year. It's very much noticed, I think, by our residents, and I think very much appreciated. So turning to the planning matters, again, it is December, in somewhat of a reflective mood, I guess, over this past year here in planning. It's been certainly a banner year when you look at our total year-to-date development value for 2024, total of $67 million and change in development value in our community over. Oh, okay. Oh, hello? Hopefully that's better. Okay. $67 million in development value in our community this year, which is astounding. Certainly, of course, we do recognize that a large chunk of that is a result of institutional planning applications that came in for the high school. Nevertheless, it is a substantial number, and it's a substantial reflection of where our town is headed, and I would say that we are certainly headed in the right direction. We do have a few resolutions before us today, two of which are to consider public meetings, and one of which is not. So I'll begin with 12C, which is resolution PH 034-2024. This is a, pardon me here, VA 003-24 and SD 021-24. Applicant is Joanne Driscoll at 70 Mount Herbert Road, requesting a subdivision with a major variance to the minimum lot size within an agricultural reserve A1 zone. It is moved by myself as Chair of Planning and Development. And whereas an application has been received from Joanne Driscoll to subdivide parcel number 398412, located at 70 Mount Herbert Road, into 2 lots. The subject land, which is located within an agricultural reserve zone, requires a minimum lot size of 1 acre. The purpose of the subdivision application is to separate an existing dwelling from the agricultural land with a proposed lot area of only 0.55 acres, which represents a 45% variance in size. Whereas pursuant to subsection 6.1.2 of our zoning and development bylaw, variance applications shall demonstrate one of several tests for justifying variance approval. This application has been considered against the following tests. A, the lot in question has peculiar conditions, including small lot size, irregular lot shape, or exceptional topographical conditions, which make it impractical to develop in strict conformity with bylaw standards. B, strict application of all bylaw standards would impose undue hardship on the applicant by excluding the applicant from the same rights and privileges for reasonable use of his or her lot as enjoyed by other persons in the same zone. Or C, the variance is consistent with the intent and purpose of our official plan. Whereas on November the 5th, 2024, in accordance with subsection 6.1.6, where variance in excess of 10% is being requested, notification letters were sent to the 35 property owners who own parcels of land which are located in whole or in part within the 61 meters or 200 feet from any lot line of the parcel being proposed for the variance. One adjacent landowner response letter was received before the comment deadline stating they had no issues with the proposed variance. Whereas upon review of the 3 tests, the proposal is consistent with the intent and purpose of the town's official plan under section 11.1.4 to keep productive farmland in active agricultural use until it is required for appropriate urban development. The proposed reduced lot size minimizes the amount of farmland being removed from agricultural uses. The proposed lot size also complies with provincial minimum residential lot size standards under the Planning Act for a lot that has an on-site water system and is connected to a central waste system. Be it resolved that approval be granted to an application from Joanne Driscoll to subdivide PID 398412 into 2 lots subject to the following. 1, that a plan of survey be prepared by a professional surveyor licensed to practice in Prince Edward Island, showing the 2 lots as per the preliminary plan for lot 2024-1, as prepared by Mantha Land Surveys DWG number M24292, dated September 24, 2024. The minimum lot size for the proposed lot listed in Condition 1 has been granted a variance of 45% and must be a minimum of 0.55 acres. 3, that preliminary approval of the subdivision shall be valid for a period of 3 years. 4, that all other relevant provisions of the Town of Stratford zoning development bylaw number 45 are met. This resolution does bear the recommendation of Planning, Development, and Heritage, discussed at a meeting held November the 4th and by an email poll conducted between November 23rd and the 29th, 2024.
Okay, thank you, Councillor. And you're moving that resolution?
I am moving
Yeah.
it, yes.
Okay, do I have a seconder? Seconder, Deputy Mayor Gallant. Okay, any discussion?
I might just very briefly, just to inform members of this council as to what exactly Ms. Driscoll is looking to do. Essentially, she has a substantial portion of agricultural land that she is looking to remain on herself, but will be offering up that the remainder of the land for others' use. And essentially, under our bylaw, the minimum lot size for an agricultural lot is 1 acre. The proposal keeps the balance of the land, not excluding the dwelling area, in good agricultural use, and so certainly that's consistent with our bylaw and it's consistent with our official plan. And so I would certainly urge you all to endorse the proposed subdivision, considering that despite the fact that there's a rather major variance proposed, it certainly makes sense as to why Ms. Driscoll is looking to do what she's doing.
Okay, any other comments or questions? All right, I'll call for the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone against? Motion carried.
Thank you. Moving to a next resolution, which is at your agenda at 12D, which is Resolution PH 035-2024, DP 167-24 from JDLB Holdings, special permit use of a stacked semi-detached dwelling, 40 and 42 Smallwood Terrace, PID 117-8060. Request for a public meeting. It's moved by myself as Chair of Planning and Development. Whereas an application has been received from John Davidson, the owner of JDLB Holdings, to construct a stacked semi-detached dwelling at 40 and 42 Smallwood Terrace, PID 117-8060, within the medium-density residential R2 zone. a stacked semi-detached dwelling is listed as a special permit use as per the recently adopted zoning bylaw amendment number 45Q. Whereas pursuant to sections 8.16.1 sub D and E in the zoning and development bylaw number 45, council shall ensure that property owners within 61 meters or 200 feet of the subject property are notified in writing and asked to provide their comments, and ensure that a public meeting be held to allow residents to provide their input before making a decision. Be it resolved that a public meeting be held on a date and time to be determined by staff in the Planning Development Heritage Committee in order to provide an opportunity for the applicant to present the proposed use to residents and obtain their input regarding the special permit use. This resolution bears the recommendation of the Planning Development Heritage Committee obtained via an email poll conducted between November the 19th and 29th, 2024.
Seconder? Councillor Cox, thank you. Okay, discussion.
So, if I might, just to provide an overview, this matter, in some ways or fashions, has been before us for some time. Certainly, it's been before us on a number of occasions. First of all, to consider a public meeting with respect to amending our zoning and development bylaw to allow this as a special permit use. There was a public meeting, and then it proceeded to first and second reading to amend our bylaw to allow this use. Crucially, within the use that council voted in favor of is that it is a special permit use. This type of development does, of course, have the possibility of showing up in any R2 zone, and as such, council, quite appropriately, I would suggest, wanted to have a certain degree of oversight into this type of proposed use and where it might go, what it might look like, and certainly, as I do know, I think that's entirely appropriate. This was JDLB Holdings was proponent, of course, of the change to our bylaw in the first place, and so it likely comes as somewhat no surprise that they would be our first applicants under the proposed bylaw to seek such a town public meeting to consider the special permit use that they're looking to have, which is that stacked semi-detached dwelling. Site plan and building plans are as found in our agenda package. You have seen this before, my fellow councillors, so you're likely familiar with it. Again, this is just for the public meeting. I am certainly mindful of this council's comments as it relates to some of the matters that have been put to public meetings. I have a fairly high degree of confidence that the proponent of this application is in good standing, I think, to discuss this matter. Be that as it may, of course, certainly open to having a discussion with you all about this proposal for the public meeting.
Okay, any comments or questions?
Just a comment, Your Worship. I do support this resolution in relation to this particular proposal. Just have a side question, perhaps, in relation to resident notification. There was some discussion about enhancing the notification package to include more comprehensive detail, therefore, or thereby perhaps mitigating some of the questions that might arise from residents. I'm just wondering if that's to be done as part of the bylaw review or whether that is something that's being put into the works now.
We've had those discussions. I might ask either our CAO or our Director of Planning, who are both here. We've had those discussions, and I think there's, I don't want to speak for them, but I think we've certainly discussed exactly that, Councillor Dowling, at least at the staff level, but I invite their comments as to what they forecast is including in any letter package or notification package that might go out to residents or landowners within that proposed 200 feet zone.
We are fine-tuning the current situation to add more detail where we feel is necessary, but also it'll carry forward into the review as well, so it'll be more comprehensive when needed.
If I could, I'd just like to reiterate something that I've said, to you and to our CAO and to council as well, that I think our current process really invites adversity and adversarial relationship between developers and local residents, because they sort of get surprised by a letter or whatever. And I would like to really, until we get our official plan and bylaw amended, I would like to really encourage developers to speak as early as possible when things are being considered with local residents have an open house or a workshop or some opportunity for residents to feel like they have some ownership or some input to things that are going on in their area early on, rather than a letter which really immediately raises the hackles and causes defensiveness. The earlier in the process, the better. I know there's been some examples of where this has really worked well, where developers have had workshops with residents and invited their input, and it's really ended up with a good result. So I would encourage that, and until we get our new bylaw and process set up, that's something that remains a real difficult situation for a lot of developers and local residents. It's a natural reaction to fear something or be against something they don't know much about or haven't had any input to.
Yeah, and the planning staff support that approach as well, and as we talk to developers, we bring that up as a discussion point. We can't force them to do it,
No.
but it certainly is something we're discussing very positively and the results of it.
Yep, thank you. Okay, any other comments or questions? If not, I'll call for the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone against? Motion carried.
Thank you. And again, noting, of course, that this is just for the public meeting at a date and time to be fixed.
Beg your pardon?
It's just for the public meeting, of course, at this point in time. And I really do appreciate your comments, Mr. Mayor, about how there might be an invitation for adversity, I think, just baked into this process, and anything we can do to mitigate that. I think both residents and developers would be well served by that. So certainly the genius of democracy and the genius of our open form of government is that we're always trying to change and we're always trying to improve things, and nothing's ever set in stone. So onward and upward is certainly the hope. 12E, which is number PH 036-2024, A002-24, general text amendments for the child care centers that might be contemplated under our zoning and development bylaw number 45. It's moved by myself as Chair of Planning and Development. And the text of that resolution reads as follows. Whereas several text amendments have been identified to bring the zoning and development bylaw number 45 up to date with the Provincial Early Learning and Child Care Act and associated regulations. And whereas the text amendments propose to address provisions of the bylaw pertaining to child care centers as they relate to the Provincial Early Learning and Child Care Act and associated regulations when determining the number of children per center, and any housekeeping amendments identified during the amendment process. And whereas pursuant to section 3.2.3 of the zoning and development bylaw number 45, council shall hold a public meeting to solicit input from residents on the proposed amendment request. And be it resolved that a public meeting be held to solicit input from residents for the proposed text amendments to bring the zoning and development bylaw number 45 up to date with the Provincial Early Learning and Child Care Act and associated regulations at a date to be determined by staff and the Planning, Development, and Heritage Committee. This resolution bears the recommendation of the Planning, Development, and Heritage Committee as discussed via email poll held between November the 19th and 29th, 2024.
Okay, do I have a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Cox. Okay, any discussion, any comments?
So you do have as well in your agenda package your general report prepared by planning staff discussing really the imperative as to why we're taking this on now. Essentially, I'm speaking very broadly, of course, that we are somewhat out of date with some of the Early Learning and Child Care Act and associated regulations and some of the language there. And I think considering the urgent need, as we know in this jurisdiction, for child care spaces, anything we can do to make sure that we're not getting in the way of anybody who's duly licensed and duly I guess, permitted under the provincial law to conduct that type of business is allowed to do so. So really, we want to make sure that, of course, in any situation where we're talking about potential in-home uses, such as in-home home-based child care centers, which certainly are in residential areas, that we have that we give the opportunity to residents who might live in those areas to provide any feedback on these proposed changes and to have as much of an open dialogue on those matters as we possibly can. So that's really what we're looking to do here.
Okay, any other comments or questions? Call for the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone against? Motion carried. Thank you for your report.
Thank you. Yes, subject to any questions on anything from planning, that would be our report for this December.
Thank you. Okay, we'll now move to infrastructure. I'll ask Deputy Mayor Gallant, who's the chair of that committee, to give his report.
Yes, before we move into that, I just want to mention, I was chair of Safety Service, and I just forgot to mention the month, 13 calls this month for the fire department, 5 false alarms, all commercial, 2 fires, a structure, 1 riverbank brush, 1 water rescue, possible jumper was false, and 2 MFRs, 1 breathing, 1 chest pains, and 3 motor vehicle collisions, and 1 entrapment, 1 parking lot on the parking lot / on the bridge. So I want to mention, but the numbers earlier, I had a small text here, I couldn't see it, so I got to wrote a little larger.
No problem.
Yeah.
Just on that, were the cameras that are on the bridge, were they
Yep.
useful in determining the validity of that report?
Very useful with the
Okay. That's good.
jumper there. Yeah,
That's
very useful. And of course, with the boat, the new boat we have was very useful too. So it was great to see the fire department in action. And like I said earlier, they are volunteers and they put their life on the line. And you have to 100% support them, the job they do. And I see the provinces supporting them with registrations for the vehicle, license, pay for the license and stuff like that. And we have honorariums from them. I mean, just imagine putting the whole fire department together and paying for it. So we had 30, 40 people up at that building. It'd be costly. So it's great to see the firemen and what they do, and the men and women, what they do in our community. It's great to see that volunteerism. And great volunteers make strong communities. I've always said that. So it was great to see that.
Yeah.
I'll move down to infrastructure committee meetings on November 21st. It's in your package, infrastructure memo, commissioning of the new water reservoir and preparation work required of the existing reservoir for upgrades and maintenance occur. Commission of the Corey Lift Station, Forest Main, was completed, resulting in flows now being directed to the trunk, mainly thereby alleviating capacity of the Pondside lift station. Coordinating upgrades to the trunk sewer main at the last leg of the system prior to entering the lift station as 10 Stratford Road. Continue coordination with the consultant preparing design for Reeves Estate water main replacement and sewer lift station decommissioning, as well as the paved multi-use trail along Glen Story Drive. Final preparation and promotional and program material, official launching of the sump pump redirection rebate program. You saw that in the Guardian and with Jeannie in the front page there. 2 proposals were received in response for the RFP for design of decommissioning of the Aptos sewage lift station and upgrades to the Sachem sewer lift station. The proposal is being reviewed and project will be awarded next week. Repairing and deploying Christmas displays and preparing for light up the night required for full dedication for the most of the month, which is nice to see. Preparing for winter and installation of blowers on tractors, salt spreader and new blade on the plow truck and winter tires on the vehicles. Ranging for cleaning and inspection of furnaces and heat pumps at all buildings. Installation of final pads for benches to be added along the trails. Water main flushing and fire hydrant maintenance has been completed. Gravity sewer flushing and lift station cleaning continues while the weather holds. All sewer laterals requiring seasonal maintenance have been jetted and flushed. Water meter removal and water turn-off at cottages and other seasonal premises continue throughout this month. Water and sewer inspections, meter installations, and water turn-ons for new development are ongoing, and managing ongoing customer and resident inquiries. During the month of November, there was no sewer blockage that required the services of contractor to excavate and repair a broken sewer lateral. It was nice to see. I know Summerside had one. Water main or sewer line broke. Yeah, like it freezes and thaws. So it was nice to see. Well, not nice to see, but I was glad we just didn't have that. So I mean, more cost. So, but that's ending my report.
Thank you. Any comments or questions on Deputy Mayor's report?
Your Worship, it's good to see that the committee and Director Woodard are continuing to pursue the standby generators for the critical or isolated lift stations. One funding application had fallen through, but true to our staff's form, they quickly pivoted and made application through another potential funding source, and we're waiting word back on that. But it's heartening to know as well that aside from Town Hall, we also have the Cotton Centre now available to us in the event of a emergency requiring
Yep.
care centers for the residents. And the Cotton Centre now has two huge generator, one huge one and one moderate-sized generator, to standby generators to fully cover off those facilities, and as well as their generator, of course, at Town Hall. So we're very well positioned in that regard, but it would be nice to have that funding for our more isolated lift stations as well, and hopefully that'll come through.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions? Okay, thank you for your report, Deputy Mayor.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll now go to Committee of the Whole, and there are several resolutions there. So I think the first resolution is to do with recreation. Is that correct, CAO Crosby?
Yep.
It is? Okay, so I will ask the Vice Chair of Recreation, Councillor Cox, to move that resolution.
Okay, thank you very much. CW 012-2024, Capital Area Recreation Incorporated, Board appointment. Whereas the town of Stratford, through the arrangement with the Capital Area Recreation Incorporated, Kerry, must appoint a representative to the Board of Directors of Kerry, a not-for-profit company that was created to design, construct, and operate the regional aquatic facility. And whereas Kim O'Connell served as the town's representative to the Board of Directors of Kerry since 2021. And whereas the town of Stratford is going to change our town representative to Rachel Arsenault. With her recreation background, she will be able to provide good information to the board and will be able to gain useful knowledge regarding operating our future wellness center. Be it resolved that Rachel Arsenault be appointed to the Kerry Board for the year 2025 to represent the town's interest on the board.
And I think this bears the recommendation of the
Recreation.
of
Sorry.
the Committee of the Whole.
Yeah, sorry, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, do you have a seconder? Thank you. Councillor McDonald. Okay, any discussion?
I don't believe that was brought forward to Committee of the Whole before. It was a discussion that we had
Oh, I'm sorry.
internally here.
I thought I recall, maybe I was just,
Yeah, I think we discussed it.
we had a discussion. I wasn't at Committee of the Whole.
Just want to say that Kim O'Connell did a great job on the board for the past several years, but with us building our new recreational facility or health and wellness facility, I think it would be very helpful for Rachel to be involved with the information and knowledge that they're passing on with an existing facility. So and it's nice to have a change up in staff from time to time. That's why we're making the change.
Okay, thank you for that. Okay, any other discussion or comments?
I just wanted to add this at the end anyway, but I just want to thank Kim O'Connell for all of her great work, working with Kerry since 2021. Thank you, Kim. Did a fantastic job as always, and really appreciate what you did. And yeah, and I know Kim have big shoes to fill. Well, your feet aren't big. I'm not saying that, but yeah, I know she'll do a great job also. So thank you, Kim, once again on behalf of the Recreation, Arts and Culture Committee. So thank you.
Okay, got a moved and seconded motion. Any other discussion? I'll call for the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those against? Motion carried. Okay, and the next resolution is a procedural bylaw, and just the vice chair of Councillor Jackson's not here. I guess I will ask Deputy Mayor Gallant to present this one.
Okay, Town of Stratford Resolution CW 013-2024, Council Procedural Bylaw Amendment Number 47C, first reading. Committee of the Whole, moved by myself, whereas council has established a council procedure bylaw number 47, to provide for the appointment of residents and stakeholders by council, provide public input to the council in its deliberations, and whereas it is desirable to discontinue the Active Transportation Subcommittee and have the work of this committee now be reflected in the Infrastructure Committee with the use of ad hoc and one-time community volunteers as required. Whereas it is desirable to discontinue the Arts and Culture Club Committee and have the work of this committee now be reflected in the Recreation and Events Committee with the use of an ad hoc committee and one-time community volunteers as required. Being resolved that the attached bylaw number 47C, a bylaw to amend the council procedure bylaw number 47, be hereby read and approved a first time. This resolution bears a recommendation of the committee whole based at a meeting held on November 27, 2024.
Okay, and.
November 27,
Yeah.
2000, yeah.
And you're moving that, are you, Council, or Deputy Mayor? Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, seconder? Thank you. Any discussion?
Just have a question, and just in terms of procedure on these matters. So typically, when we have citizens of this municipality who are so good to donate their time and serve on a community, we usually recognize those efforts every year in the form of a small monetary remuneration. And is there a process or is there a procedure that's available to us to offer some form of recognition to anybody who might serve on an ad hoc committee at any point in time?
I would certainly think that we would treat them the same as any other committee member
Okay.
with regard to that. So
Great.
when we do strike a committee, and they will be working on special projects, that we would include them in the honorarium.
Great, okay, just want to make sure.
Okay, any other comments or questions?
Just wondering, on the ad hoc committees, if we're going to be setting these up, how many times are they going to meet during the year? If we have one? It's just, the question,
Yeah, so the intent for setting them would be as required. So
Yeah.
as we have something to discuss, it may not be the same ad hoc committee that meets every time. So there may
Yeah.
be, for instance, in arts and culture, a particular project that we identify a certain set of needs or what's the word I'm looking for? Of qualifications or expertise, exactly, for a certain project, whereas another project may require something different. So this gives us a bit of flexibility to be able to identify people and put call-outs as needed as well for those. So there won't be necessarily a specific number of committee meetings. They have much more flexibility in that they can sort of meet more intensely for a period of time and then kind of dissolve and be called again as needed, so.
okay.
Also, like arts and culture is going to become will be a very important part of our community campus. So these committees will make a significant contribution when they're called upon, and I think that does give us flexibility, and once again, that allows certain expertise to rise to the top, and you know, I think everybody wants that for the new community campus. So, yeah.
Yeah, and part of the rationale is it
Yeah, that's-
shortens the lines of communication between, a subcommittee and, it was formerly a subcommittee, now it's going to be an integral part. The Arts and Culture Committee will be an integral part of the Recreation Committee, and all their concerns will be, and recommendations will be relayed directly to council, as opposed to going through the filter, any kind of a filter of another committee's looking at it. So I think it's going to improve, it's going to make things better for us as a council, but it's also going to make it easier to hear the voices, the arts and culture voice in our community.
The arts and culture is very important to our community.
It is, you're right,
I'm
yeah,
telling you, it's just-
absolutely.
That's why I'm hopefully, yeah.
Yeah.
If it's quicker and process is better, all for it.
Yeah, and it's the same with active transportation. Active transportation will be part of,
Infrastructure.
the infrastructure, and infrastructure can actually get things, get things done that, without going through any kind of second step. Okay, with that then, got a moved and seconded motion on the floor. Any other comments or questions? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone against? Motion carried. Okay, the next, Next one is regularly scheduled council meetings. I'll ask Councillor Dowling to move this resolution, if you would.
Certainly, Your Worship. Town of Stratford Resolution Number CW015-2024, regularly scheduled council meetings, date, time, and location for 2025. Moved by myself, stemming from the Committee of the Whole. Whereas the Town of Stratford must post an annual schedule for the regular monthly council meetings, and whereas the date, time, and location of each meeting must be posted on the town's website, on the notice board within the town center, and in the Stratford newsletter. Be it resolved that the date and time and location of regular council meetings will be held as follows. January 28, 2025, 4:30 p.m., 234 Shakespeare Drive. February 12th, 2025, March 12th, 2025, April 9th, 2025, May 14th, 2025, June 11th, 2025, July 9th, 2025, August 13th, 2025, September 10th, 2025, October 8th, 2025, November 12th, 2025, December 10th, 2025, all at the same time and location.
Thank you. And do I have a seconder for that motion? Or actually, before we go to a seconder, I just wondered if we could have a friendly amendment. I know that January 8th, most staff are not back until January 6th, so there's only time, and there's a lot of work involved in, and they're off between Christmas and New Year's. So there's not a lot of time for preparation for the January 8th. It was suggested to me before the meeting that that date be changed to January 14th, I believe it is. Should be the 15th. Shouldn't it be 7 days later?
There's no room available.
Pardon?
The room isn't available.
We can set a council meeting for any time.
Okay,
you
so
desire,
the
but
14th is correct,
We
okay.
looked at the 15th, but there was no space available.
Okay,
And
okay.
the 16th, but the 14th we'll do for what we need. And it's just that our committees are not meeting, and for us to collect the information that we need, and like you said, with Christmas break, and then some staff are taking a couple extra days off, it'll be difficult to have the package ready, so we just hope that we could move it to the 14th and just go
Okay.
with a regular schedule after that. So if
Thank
someone
you.
wanted to make a small amendment, that'd be great.
Thank you. So if someone could move that, thank you, Councillor McDonald. And is that amendment okay with you?
That's fine, Your Worship.
Okay. Any objections? Second? Okay, thank you. Any objections? Okay, and I guess we can just vote on the amended resolution. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone against? Okay, motion carried. Those are our meetings for next year. Okay, next portfolio is sustainability. I'll ask the chair of that committee, Councillor Cox, to give his report.
Sorry. Telling Councilor McDonald to turn his mic on. I didn't do that myself, so sorry about that. The Sustainability Committee has not held a meeting since the last council meeting report. However, some of the highlights undertaken in this area over the past month include staff has been busy wrapping up. Oh, I just did that again, sorry. Gosh, I'm in trouble with this. I'm going to have to get my mouse out because this keyboard for me is being a little bit finicky, so sorry about that. Yeah, I guess I learned something tonight to make sure I use my mouse, so. Okay, staff's been busy wrapping up this year's projects and planning ahead for next year. This includes applying for funding to various programs such as Tree Canada, the Trans-Canada Trails, and the various wage funding initiatives. Staff is also working on funding applications for a feasibility study to explore potential for a net zero campus and a microgrid project. Last month, staff participated in Tree Canada's Canadian Urban Forest Network Workshop, gaining valuable insights into expanding and improving tree populations, addressing equity in urban forestry, and enhancing management strategies for green spaces. The town's annual business survey has been open for the past couple of weeks with an opportunity for members of the business community in Stratford to share their thoughts, opinions, and ideas with the town. The survey will be closing in the near future, so business managers and owners are encouraged to complete the survey in the very near future. Staff is exploring a new Think Stratford media campaign for the next year, for the new year, to continue to help promote and raise the profile of local businesses here in Stratford. As committee terms change and a new term begins, staff is preparing to update and orient the new committee members in the new year. The opportunity is always exciting. One, as new voices and ideas come forward into the mix, with also with the returning committee members who bring their expertise also. We'd like to express our appreciation for the members of Sustainability, Diversity and Inclusion Committees over the past 2-year term. The Diversity and Inclusion Subcommittee continues to focus on the town's anniversary project, a legacy book for the upcoming 30th anniversary of the town, which will feature the stories of 30 residents recorded and written by 30 of our youth as a intergenerational project. As interviews and writings are now underway, it is last call for nominations for a particular need for youth participants if the town is going to meet the exception for complete 30 interviews. Please visit the town's website to sign up and participate. If I can add something here, I was talking to a local businessman the other day, and last year he had a gas-only truck that he used for his business, and he did a lot of traveling around Prince Edward Island. And he told me that he would spend regularly up to $600 a month in his truck. And this past year, about a few months ago, maybe 2 months ago, he switched over to an electric truck. And I think it's like a Ford 150 or whatever kind of thing. And his bill last month for electricity was $74. And he said, it cost me $1,000 to put a charger at my house. But he said, where I was spending $600 a month, now I'm spending $74. So he said, he said at first he didn't think it'd work, but he said it's just been excellent. So, so he said he wanted to pass that on to me, and I appreciate his input in that. And I was glad to hear that from this business person, because I think I think charging stations are coming more and more all the time, and I think it's becoming more feasible for our business sector to look at that as an option. So it was great to hear that. And that's my report.
Thank you for your report. I also have a little story to relate regarding a local business here. And the business owner made a special call to me to compliment the planning staff. He did an expansion on his business, and he just wanted to tell me what a pleasure it was dealing with our planning staff, and it was fairly complicated, fairly large expansion.
Yeah.
But he said it was a pleasure to, they found a way to get to help him do what he wanted to do. So I just wanted to pass that on, because I think it was a very well done, it speaks well of our staff, and how it shows how businesses don't just relate to one part of the town, but it's all, all the departments have a role to play within the town.
Oh,
and all the portfolios have a role to play. So from sustainability to planning to environmental, all those things work together to to really try to help businesses prosper and succeed in our town. So thank you for that, Dale Kagan, Director of Planning. Yeah, thank you.
Also, Councillor Cox, the GST and HST, December 14th for 2 months, is going to help a lot of business.
Oh, yes, exactly.
Yeah. So that's going to be great for 2 months for people to buy and save money.
Yeah, long overdue.
Okay, well, thank you for your report. If there are no other questions, I'll move on to my report. And that report is in your package. There was a meeting of the Intergovernmental Affairs and Accountability Committee, which was held on November 21st this year. And some of the Some of the discussions that took place at that meeting revolved around the Housing Accelerator funding, the fact that, you know, we're looking at contingency plans for what should happen should the government change in the future, and what our position would be as a town, what kinds of initiatives, and what the impact will be on some of the initiatives we have underway. And again, we talked about the community campus funding application and the fundraising update, and got input from the committee members on some things that we should consider when, as part of the fundraising and as part of the funding applications and strategies for getting funding. Again, revenue sharing update. Again, a discussion of our discussions with the province and with the Federation of PEI municipalities about our needs with regard to funding. And we went over some of the discussions that took place with a recent meeting with MLA Jill Burridge. Yeah, and the fact that we hope to have a meeting soon with the Honourable Lawrence Macaulay. And it was before I went to Ottawa, so I didn't get a chance to, I know that staff are still trying to get that meeting put in place. There's nothing further on that. Is there, Jeremy?
Did have a conversation today, and I know the sitting of the House is, I think it's Tuesday of next week it ends, so he will be back. And I think there's a holiday social coming up as well that I've heard that might be held next Friday. Haven't had the official word on that yet, but I think there will be a contingent of us go to that and maybe have a chance to speak with them at that and set up a meeting.
Yeah, it's not ideal, but I guess it's better
Well,
than nothing, yeah.
I don't believe we'll get into heavy discussions there, but I think we'll indicate that we're looking to meet with them
Yeah.
in our discussions there, so.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you. Yeah, so that's basically, yeah, we talked about the resident survey. There's a lot of good information in the 2025 annual, or there's work being started on the 2025 annual resident survey. We asked the committee to review this year's report and suggest any potential questions or areas they think deserve further surveying. And I would also put that to council that we should really think about what answers we would like to have to some of the issues we're dealing with. What are some of the questions we should be asking as part of the survey? And you know, you can either email them to me or to Wendy, and we can make sure that they get considered for the final version of the survey. The 2025 survey will be going out in February usually, isn't it? Somewhere in there, the end of February, early March, yeah, something like that. We talked about a little bit about the budget process and the fact that that's starting soon, and obviously that's our priorities, where our priorities are reflected, and really try to see what we can get done with the limited funding that we have. But anyway, that's my report. I believe community engagement and business and community engagement manager Wendy Watts would like to say a few words.
I just wanted to add to update council that we did proceed based on the feedback that we had last week with our plan for Town Talk. So we have reduced the quantity that we've ordered with the ongoing Canada Post strike, but we will have some that we can distribute hard copies of, and we'll be promoting the digital copy of it because we were in a crunch position in order to get that done. But we will be printing some to distribute here and at the library and to some of our senior homes and things like that. We may even be able to encourage residents to, you know, pick a couple of copies up when they come and deliver to their neighbors and things like that. So we will try our best to get that information out, just like we always do, but with the ongoing strike, we, as you guys know, had to make a decision on how to proceed, so.
Yeah. So the other discussions we had were about on the accountability side with the the results matter, key performance indicators, and the website, and our information is now being reflected on the website. So council's invited to look at those, and residents are invited to look at that website. It's part of the town website, and see if there's any questions or it's good information about how we're doing against our targets, and I think it's part of being transparent and as Councillor MacDonald mentioned, open government, making sure that we provide as much information to residents about our performance as possible. Yeah, so that's my report. Any comments or questions? Okay, if not, we'll move on to next item, which is inquiries by members of council on any issue or anything about the town.
I have one, and I apologize for putting anybody in the spot, but I know we talked about the beauty of Stratford and the lights and everything, and that's great, but there seems to be the other end of that has come up in the last couple of weeks, that we have a couple of different residents that have written in about unsightly lots, about pollution on lots, and just debris everywhere, and et cetera. So I'm just kind of curious about you know, where we stand, how things are going with those certain cases that are starting to pop up, and just wondering if that's a normal thing, like, because, you know, most of us are only here for 2 years now. This is the first time I got a letter from residents saying, like, this person next to me, just their flyers are all over the yard, and they're not picking up anything. I've asked them, it's just very unsightly, and I guess for residents, what can they do, like, in that case? So who do I ask about that? I guess Jeannie?
Jeannie, yeah.
Yeah. Sorry to put you in the spot, Jeannie.
Mostly every,
Not putting me on the spot at all, and I can provide an update. We did have Joe Driscoll went out today to have a look at Dale Drive. So normally the process would be to have our bylaw enforcement officer address any of our complaints. They would have a look and see if there's any violation according to the bylaw. So this is a time period where we don't have them on staff, but Joe does a great job looking at that for us. He did identify 2 packages of flyers that were in the ditch and a couple of coffee cups, so he did clean those up. So I wanted to update you on that particular status. So absolutely, if anything comes through directly to you, just send it through.
Yeah.
Residents can call in, they do that quite often, and those complaints do get through to Joe or to our bylaw enforcement officer, and they have a look and deem whether or not there's a violation to the bylaw.
Okay, I think that the resident Dale's Drive did pick up some stuff, whatever. I think it's been better. So
Perhaps so.
Yeah, when Joe got there, I think there's just a little bit left. But,
Right, yeah.
But I think the resident did follow the process, which is important, I think, to do that, so.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah,
And we'll keep an eye on that. The flyers can be an issue. We've had different areas of the town with that complaint. Whether they're thrown out at properties that are vacant or even in the boxes that they have, sometimes they get blown around. So it can be a bit of a concern that we have addressed with the company before, and they have been good to work with us on trying to keep that under control. But
all right, no, appreciate that, thank you.
I guess, Councillor Cox, as Chair of Infrastructure, I can see, and Ronnie can attest this, and maybe Jeff, how the town, and Steve, how the town is growing so fast with the bylaw complaints and so on. I think in the future, we're looking at a bylaw officer that has some teeth, the tickets that has some teeth, a peace officer, Charlottetown does it, doesn't have to be, it can be a peace officer, don't have to be a police officer, with some teeth behind, like some, you know, some grit behind it that gets stuff done and so on. So I'm saying, a new year, I'll be pushing forward for a bylaw officer to take away some of these complaints. Staff shouldn't be going door to door. It's just the way the society is now, and it's public safety itself. And I believe that the way the town's grown, Summerside has a bylaw officer, Charlotte has a bylaw officer, and the way we're growing, I think they would ascertain some of these problems you're talking about right now and jump on them. I know infrastructure, Jeannie, they're busy, Joe when they're busy and so on, and Carter maybe, but I think I'll be moving forward for a bylaw officer. It's got to have some power behind it. The last ticket we had there, the person didn't show up for court, so we've got to have some grit, some, how would you say, Jeff, behind the ticket, some... Yeah, teeth, yeah. Some teeth behind the ticket and so on, some grounds and so on. I said, we just got to, it's time to maybe half-time bylaw officer, 30% or 50%, and then move into full-time. But somebody with a peace officer status, somebody in some police training or background and some kind of training, and bylaw officers, because mostly all the towns across North America have a bylaw officer that take those problems.
We don't want to lose that, so could I, is this appropriate, CEO
sorry.
Crosby, for referral to the Safety Services Committee for recommendation?
Okay, sure, Steve.
Just firstly, I'd like to say that our unsightly premises bylaw, I believe, does have the enforcement rules that we need there, and we do have the ticketing process. A bylaw enforcement person would be excellent to add to that, but we are going through a process right now, and as you said, the person didn't show up in court. There's been further information sent out to that person, and if they don't comply, then we will clean up the property ourselves, hire a contractor, and then we'll put a lien on the property. So
Yeah.
I think there is the enforcement part of it there, but having a full-time bylaw enforcement officer would be excellent, and definitely we can take that under advisement in the budgeting process.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions or discussion? Okay, any other inquiries by any other member of council? If not, we'll move on to other committees. Stratford Seniors Complex, Deputy Mayor Gallant, chair of that committee.
Senior Steve. Received a draft bill and assessment report from Coles and currently reviewing the information. Building spreadsheet based on building assessment report to help guide the maintenance and capital projects that need to be completed over the next 5 or 7 years. We didn't have a meeting this month. Budget for the 2025 was approved by council and submitted to CMHC. We have rented both vacant units. We have asked Wendy to post notice on social media to get some more applications on file. We are currently reviewing the new information to extend our expiring agreement at CMHC, and we are waiting to get an annual inspection completed on the generator. And currently, right now, there's 26 people on the waiting list. So the 2 vacant units have been filled. And currently, right now, we have 26 people on the waiting list. And as I say, we're getting an inspection on the generator, which is in case of power outages. We have a generator up and running for the residents there. So it's a well-structured building, and Kim and Paulette would do great stuff in their meetings. It's a great building to be have in our community here. So it's great to see people. We talked about the last council meeting how low-income seniors take advantage of this building, and so it's just win-win-win for everybody here.
Okay, thank you. Any comments or questions on?
Any questions?
Perhaps not directly related, Your Worship, but I know if we had another 2 or 3 of these facilities, we could fill them. We have a waiting list of 26, but I think
Yep.
if people didn't have a waiting list, if we make more direct application, we could fill them even faster. Just wondering, if perhaps through the CAO, if we have had any discussion with the province for provincially funded housing to be located in Stratford. I know the province did make a commitment through the course of the next couple of years to start increasing their holdings of provincially funded properties. And, I'd like to see them decentralized somewhat into Stratford and Cornwall and other areas to accommodate citizens that are living here now or want to move here. I'm just wondering if there's been anything in relation to that discussion-wise.
There certainly has been conversations with our MLAs with regard to that. Haven't seen real movement on that, and there has been discussions with regard to the property we own on the Trans-Canada Highway, and that would be an excellent location for some type of government service there. Seniors housing was brought up within that discussion, and we continue to bring up the availability of that land, but we do want to see something provincially built on that piece of property. So guess the answer is yes. We have had discussions, but we haven't seen really a lot of action on that yet.
Any other comments or questions? Thank you for your report, Deputy Mayor. Okay, we'll now move on to appointments to the committees. And there's a resolution here, and it doesn't really fit into any portfolio. HR, yeah, I guess it does. So Deputy Mayor, I'll ask you to, not HR? What's your take on it?
I nominate Councillor McDonald for this list. That's my Christmas present to you,
Oh,
Councillor
thanks.
McDonald.
That's great.
Ho, ho, ho.
All right, I will happily move this, as it is. I might not. Here's what I'll say. Whereas council has established, this is CW 014-2024, committee member appointments. I think ostensibly this would come from committee of the whole. I'll move this as chair of planning and heritage, but certainly as a member of the committee of the whole at a minimum. The resolution reads as follows. Whereas council has established a number of standing committees and subcommittees in the council procedural bylaw to advise and assist council in its deliberations. Whereas the bylaw provides for the appointment of residents and stakeholders by council to provide public input to council in its deliberations. Be it resolved that the following residents and stakeholders be appointed to the standing committees and subcommittees for a 2-year term ending on November 30th, 2026 as follows. Finance and Technology, Anthony O'Coin, Denis Bergevin, Les Parsons, Roger McDonald, and Lynn Randall. Intergovernmental Affairs and Accountability, Colleen Brown, Jeffrey Collins, Brett Van Heinigen, John Walker, and Farzana Yasmin. Infrastructure, Alex DL, Kim Dudley, Michael Fleischman, Malcolm McKenzie, Nicole Phillips. Planning and Development and Heritage, Alexander Boyd, Jordan Cameron, Danny Newfer, Alex O'Hara, and Adam Ramsey. Recreation, Culture, and Events, Elizabeth DeBlois, Beth Grant, Sean McDougall, Kate Sharpley, Josh Whitty. Safety Services, Kate Davidson, Kent McDonald, Wilfred McDonald, Melanie McCarthy, and Jordan Tebow. Sustainability, Angela Banks, Don Binns, Andrew Doyle, Devendra Dusan, Christina McLeod. And Diversity and Inclusion, Shamara Bindas Baidu Bonso, Noel Duncan, Tanju Fernando, Ismail Haki Iskioglu, Rebecca Mock, Faharanze Rezai, and Gary Schoenfeld. And this resolution bears the recommendation of council based on various emails and discussions over the month of November.
Okay, do I have a seconder?
Okay, jumping on in a second. That's a good job, Councilor. Well done. Yeah.
Okay, discussion. Any discussion?
Just a comment, Your Worship, you know, I've mentioned this several times, I think we're very fortunate as a community to have such a high degree of engagement by our residents on our committees. We're getting feedback on a committee-by-committee, month-by-month basis from residents, and it broadens it out from staff and council alone, which is very beneficial and somewhat unique to Stratford, certainly to this extent at any rate. And I commend all of the residents who had put their name forward to serve on the committees. And it just shows the high degree of involvement of our residents and interest in the community by our residents.
That's well said.
Yep, here.
Yeah, I concur too. Also staff putting everything together, Wendy and staff, and I know it's a big end of 2 years, so it's a lot of trying to fit everything in there. It did a great job, so I want to thank you for everything.
One thing that people may not realize is it is a bit of a delicate balancing act in the sense that we want to have all the areas of the town represented.
Yep.
And this is a real good reflection on the town and the spirit of volunteerism, because there are usually way more applicants than there are spots that we can put people. So we try to have turnovers and give other people a chance for various committees based on their expertise and, you know, what they bring to the table in terms of the discussion and their experience. And so all those things go together in choosing recommended by staff and council, with council's input, the best people for providing advice to council on every portfolio. So I really appreciate all the people who put their names forward, whether or not they're chosen to be on a committee, but we do really try to get as many people involved as we possibly can. And the only way to do that is to have turnover on committees every year, or every 2 years. So just really, really proud of the fact that our town is so engaged, and residents are so engaged in the affairs of the town and trying to make our community the best community possible.
I know with like the PEITF, I was on different committees there, and it was 1 year. And every year you had to re-op and apply. And for me, I think 2 years is perfect. And I think we do a great job. I think it's a tough one. And I know Wendy at times probably struggles some names because you like to have, when everyone that was in there this year reapplies.
Yeah.
But sometimes you have to make those hard decisions, but bringing in new ideas and and a lot of times those other people will move on to subcommittees and they're still involved and everything works out pretty well. So hats off to our staff for all the work they did on this and to our community for once again signing up like they have.
Yeah, and it's not just areas of the town and areas of expertise. It's also gender and reflection of different people from different parts of the world and different parts of the country, and all of the age groups. Trying to get young people, young families and seniors involved on an equal equity basis. So it really works out well, though, because I've been really impressed with the quality and the caliber of the committees and the great advice that they've given to council.
Yeah, excellent.
Okay, we've had the moved and seconded motion.
I'll call for the question.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone against? Motion carried. Okay, proclamations. Again, this is Purple Ribbon Campaign Against Violence Week. I guess it started, with the, as Councillor MacDonald mentioned, with the Polytechnique massacre, and I believe that was 1989, and just a terrible thing where 14 young women had their lives cut short because of hatred and result in gender-based violence. There are a number of entities on PEI which really people can turn to if they encounter this sort of situation. PEI Family Violence Prevention Services, the Chief Mary Bernard Memorial Women's Shelter, Victim Services, Charlottetown and Summerside, PEI Rape and Sexual Assault Center, the Premier's Action Committee on Family Violence Prevention, and there's a 211 information referral service that people can deal with. And of course, if anyone's in immediate danger, they should call 911. But the island as a whole, our country, and I know our municipality, we remember that Montreal massacre, December 6th, 1989, and we want to try to do whatever we can to make sure it's never repeated. So with that, any other business around the town? Any other business anyone would like to bring to the table? I know that Wendy Watts is going to say a few words. Go ahead.
Sorry, I just wanted to remind you that you were going to read into the record the committee chairs and vice chairs.
Oh, is that part of the resolution?
It's not a resolution, but we had previously discussed just having this as the announcement for the
Oh, I'm
changes.
sorry, okay.
Yeah.
All right, okay. Okay, I will end off with announcing the turnover or the changes for the upcoming 2-year term. Finance and Technology, the new chair is Councillor Jody Jackson, and the vice chair is Councillor Jeff McDonald. Infrastructure, the chair is Deputy Mayor Steve Gallant, and the vice chair is Councillor Jody Jackson. Intergovernmental Affairs and Accountability, the chair is Councillor Jill Chandler, and the vice chair is myself. Planning, Development, Heritage, the chair is Councillor Jeff McDonald, and the vice chair is Councillor Ron Dowling. Recreation, Culture, and Events, the chair is Councillor Gordy Cox, and the vice chair is Councillor Jill Chandler. Safety Services, the chair is Councillor Ron Dowling, and the vice chair is Deputy Mayor Steve Gallant. Sustainability, chair is Councillor Jill Chandler, and the vice chair is Councillor Gordy Cox. And the Seniors Complex Committee, the chair is Deputy Mayor Steve Gallant. And those are your chairs and vice chairs for 2025 to 2026. So with that, any other business that anyone would like to bring to the table?
I mentioned the HR meeting tomorrow, Mary, at 12 o'clock? 12:30? 12:30 tomorrow. Yep.
Okay. All right, if there's nothing else, I'll entertain a motion for adjournment. Also moved. We're now adjourned.
12:35 for Gordy Cox.